Thanks, Lynn. So we have a lot to think about and a lot to talk about tonight. And it's for us to remember that this meeting is part of a consultation process and is not a council meeting, and no decisions will be made here tonight. And there are several other ways that you can get your voice heard should you think of it when you leave or you don't get a chance to talk tonight. We will do our best that the voices that want to be heard will be heard tonight, but if you don't, you have other ways of accessing the process. If you want to make a delegation to council, if you would like to talk to council directly, you go on that grey.ca website and you go to the button that says talk to council, and there is a process for doing that, and you need to go through that process. So this meeting is to have a conversation and to listen. To do both of these, we need to give the speakers a room that is listening and respects the time limits, so as many of your voices as possible can be heard. Comments and questions for clarification need to have a focus on your opinion on this topic, which is the delivery of long-term care services now and into the future. So to ensure that together we create a room that allows us to listen and to be heard, these are the respectful manners of speaking that I expect all of you to follow. Your comments will be directed to the topic of the meeting and will be given with no raised voices, no personal attacks or accusations, no foul language, name calling, or shouting. All right? Got that? I must be from West Grey, yes, yes. From Glenelg, yes, I have to remind my neighbors. All right. You will each, when you are given a chance to speak, you will be given 2 minutes to speak, with the expectation that you will stop when your time is up. You will be timed. We will come to you with the microphone. There are 2 of us with microphones. We will bring them to you. We will hold the microphone, and you're welcome to give your 2 minutes. This meeting will end exactly at 9 o'clock. People chosen to speak last night and the previous time in Durham, we did have enough time for everyone to speak when we held to the 2 minutes. Now, if you don't honor the expectations of respectful communications that I just set out, I will stop you and remind you. Then I'll remind you a second time, giving you fair warning. If you don't stop being disrespectful, I will turn off your mic and you will not be allowed to speak. If you continue, we will recess the meeting until you stop. If you don't stop in 5 minutes, we will adjourn the meeting, which means we will leave the hall. So we don't want to adjourn the meeting. We want to have everybody's voices heard in a respectful way. We are Canadians. We know how to do that. So we have a request that one of the residents from Grey Gables, Diane, is going to speak first. And after she's spoken, I'd ask that you raise your hand if you wish to speak. And Rob and I will work the room, and you will get a chance to speak. All right?
Hi, my name's Diane Carmichael, and we've lived in Glenelg for the last 30 years too, so I can look both ways. And in fact, have lived in both places. So I lived in Durham, and now I'm living at Grey Gables. I'm 49 years old, so this is early to get into a nursing home. It's not where I expected to be or my family expected me to be now. But having said that, I still have a 15-year-old son that lives in Markdale, and I need to live close enough to still parent him. And having been in alternate places where I've had to live, It's not easy parenting right here, but it's even harder to parent if you're a half an hour or an hour away. So I need, and lots of people here, and younger people even, need to live closer to where they've been. You can go down the road to the grocery store, and you see people you know. Go out onto the sidewalk, you see people you know. It's like getting out of jail.
Makes life worth living, doesn't it?
Thanks, Diane. So Diane, your point is that you need to be a part of a community and be part of the community. Yeah, and feel part of the community. Yes, yes. Okay. You said that very well. Thank you very much for starting us off tonight.
Hi, I'm Debbie Caswell. I'm president of Local 266, which represents the great PSWs at Grey Gables. This is a travesty. We cannot be losing our public services. I have 2 daughters who currently work in a private long-term care facility. My 25-year-old's goal was to work for Grey County. I do not want to see Grey County losing long-term care homes. I spoke today with a person who works for the City of London. London's long-term care homes are run by Extendicare, and they've decided that is a huge mistake for them. They wish they could go back to running those homes from the city level, not from a private entity. We are not just selling bricks and mortar, we are selling our residents' lives. These are people who have worked their lives for us. And this is the respect we are giving them. That's not right. We're taking away schools, we're going to take away a daycare, and we're taking away the homes of all these residents. My middle daughter has a philosophy about being a PSW. Every one of those residents is somebody's grandparent. It may not be my grandparent, it may not be your grandparent, but it is somebody's grandparent, and they should be treated with the respect that we treat all our grandparents. Thank you.
So just to clarify the comment is that we're all in agreement here that keeping the beds owned by Grey County is what you're saying. That's your point. Great. Okay. Yes. All right. Well, we'll have a question from this side of the room.
I would like to reiterate what I said last night at the meeting. I know I speak for the workers and hopefully for the people of Markdale when I say we are, as a community, do not want Rockwood Terrace to move to Grey Gables and vice versa. We would like Rockwood Terrace to be brought up to a Class A facility by either renovating or building a new facility. The government has no right to pit one community against the other. We need to all stand together and preserve our rural communities and our long-term care homes as they stand now. Thank you.
I'm here as a resident of Grey County. This is all a little disappointing. This seems like... I'm here as a resident of Grey County. This is all very disappointing. This seems like consultation after the fact that you've worked towards closing these homes. These are all the taxpayers and residents of Grey County. They are speaking. They want both of these homes left open, okay? These people live in Grey County. The people in Markdale have lived in this community their whole lives and contributed to the community. I spoke with a couple who live in Markdale recently. They're getting on in years and they're wondering what they're going to do when they get older, and they thought, oh, maybe when we can't look after our house anymore, we'll go and live at Grey Gables. These homes both need to be left open, and there's only going to be more need for these facilities, so they need to be more beds in these communities. And this is a little disappointing to hear that you're looking at private operators for these homes. Yeah, CBRE recommended private operators, and I heard a few comments are a little troubling that there's better accountability with a private operator. You cannot hold your own employees accountable running these homes, right? This is...
Yes, yeah.
I don't know which one. Hopefully this is okay. All right, hopefully you can hear me. You've packed a lot of things into that, and I okay, I just don't want to lose track of all your things, so we will dare. So you started off, I think, talking about wanting to maintain the beds, and I can't reiterate enough that we are all absolutely on the same page when it comes to trying to maintain all of the 166 long-term care beds that there are between... right now I'm just talking about the licenses, the beds, that we need to maintain the beds. That is our primary concern. No, sir, what I'm saying is, let me finish, please, okay? What I'm saying is,
So a reminder that we have had 3 issues raised in 2 minutes, and we're now having a response, and we agreed that we'd listen. So we listen to you, and now we're going to give a response. And then you can ask another question. Yes. So let me reiterate your question then. You want to maintain the beds, that you're strongly stating and being a seconder here, that you want to keep the beds in Markdale and in Durham. And this is for the record, right? This is what you want to say.
My question to you is,
okay,
will you commit to keeping both of these homes open in public hands? These illusory savings by having a private operator are just not fact. It's sufficient to have public services. As Canadians, we believe in our public health care system because morally we know that it's wrong to profit from people's suffering, and I believe the same goes for these homes in Grey County. And public services are for people, not for profit.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're in agreement. You are agreeing that Grey County should continue to run the 166 beds. And remember, there's been no decision. Grey County is running. And there's a second point to keep Durham and Markdale open. That was your second point? Yes?
Just a couple of points. It's so important that if we're going to make a good decision, that we really understand some of the regulatory environment, some of the things that underpin this. And that was part of the reason why we wanted to have this meeting, so that we could try and explain some of this to you. So I'll try again, and I'll see if I'm making sense for you. We need to maintain the beds in Grey County. One of the things that Lynn brought forward was that within the Southwest Lynn, we have more long-term care beds than other parts of the province. Almost a third more than other parts of the province. The province is looking at long-term care and looking at this big increase in the seniors population and the demand for this care, and they're going to try and manage that on a system-wide basis. So we want to make sure that we're here, that we're providing a really good service, and that it's meeting the needs for all of you. The part of the recommendation that deals with the management company is simply to provide assistance to us as staff and to council, so that we're sure that we are absolutely up to date in an environment that is increasingly complex, increasingly sophisticated. For those of you that took This is Long-Term Care, that brochure from the association that's at the back, when you have a chance, I would really encourage you to look at who the population is that we're trying to serve and how that population is changing. The world of long-term care has changed so quickly and so fundamentally in the last number of years. Lynn would tell you that there was a time when people drove to Rockwood Terrace in their car. You mentioned about people being able to choose to be at Grey Gables. That's not a choice that you can make. You can say, Grey Gables is one of the homes that I would like to be in, should you get to that point in your life that you need long-term care. But at the end of the day, it's the CCAC and bed availability and all of those things that will determine where you are and what options that you have. So that's the piece about assisted living and seniors' residences, apartments. What Lynn was trying to say about that service, those are the services that when you need a little bit of help, you need some housekeeping, you need some communal meal prep and that sort of thing, that's when you can choose those services. But long-term care only comes through the CCAC, and it's for that 10% of the population that needs the most care. So I hope that tries to clarify it for you a little bit.
And just to answer the third part is public participation. That's what this is. No decision has made. Your council, our elected officials, will make that decision based on the opinions given here. This is merely the recommendations of staff. So there's been no decision made. So let's carry on with questions. Are you standing there waiting? Are you waiting?
Okay. Hello, my name is Heather Torrey. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Anyways, I have been a nurse at Markdale Hospital for 40 plus years, was raised in Proton Township, and I call Glenelg home for the last 40 years. This is appalling that we're here tonight at all, and I'm going to have to take my 7 minutes and really cram her down pretty fast. But anyways, what I'd like to say is assisted living does come at a cost. I know that through the experience of knowing people who work in these places. You will pay for every extra little thing you get. Having your catheter emptied, opening your pills, putting your tensor socks on. Everything comes at a cost. You live in a public funded home like a county home, those things all are covered. It is all OHIP billable above and beyond when your doctor comes to that center when he needs to come, like Dr. Power and Dr. Winfield, who will be losing, if Grey Gable leaves this area, will be losing their dollars that they make. They've already been hit by Grey Bruce Health Services, who is closing the OR at Markdale Hospital. They're losing their anesthesia. They're losing their assistant. And I asked one of those doctors, would you, if you were younger, be staying here in Markdale? He said, no, why would I? I'm only going to be able to have a 4-bed hospital to work out of, and I'm only going to be able to have a family practice. We will have a problem attracting new doctors to Markdale, okay? And the other thing is, the Southwest Lins, and take this back with you, Mr. Walker, the Southwest Lins is not the only Lins that service this area. There are also 3 other Lins, Central, Muskoka, and Waterloo, Wellington. And we are not getting the funding that we should be getting from those. So take this, Grey County, and back to your drawing board and realize that don't fix what isn't broken. Leave the 2 residents where they are.
I have one here at the back, Pat.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good evening. My name is Terry Mokri, and I have the distinct honor of doing a presentation on behalf of one of our residents to this assembly. Before I do, Chris Griffith and her husband Jim are active, influential, and involved members of our community. Both volunteer throughout the community in areas such as our local churches and the Legion. Their volunteer involvement is with all sectors of our society, and that includes youth, our baby boom generation, and of course our senior citizens, and especially those in Grey Gables. The presentation is as follows. To Grey County Council, as a resident of Markdale since 1970, a retired physiotherapist at our local hospital for over 30 years, a former member of the board of Grey Bruce Health Services, a past cross-board appointee to the Board of Health, and a senior citizen, I have great concern with the idea that our county council is considering closing Grey Gables. I have been involved in healthcare in the Grey and Bruce area and the province of Ontario for my entire adult life, and I know that the delivery of care is always changing and challenging. Although everyone would love to see faster progress toward the building of our new hospital, progress is definitely continuing, and it will continue. It will be one side of a health community hub, which is considered by the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care to be the model of excellence in rural health care. The three sides of the hub are the Community Health Center, the new hospital, and Grey Gables. Remove one part of the hub and you diminish the whole. Grey Gables enables its residents to remain close to home
15 seconds,
with
Rob.
the support of family and friends, many who are aging and who have health challenges of their own. I will paraphrase something I heard last week when I say the first role of our elected officials is to support the greater good of the community. This community supports Grey Gables, and Grey Gables supports the community. Please, as our elected officials, show us your support. Sincerely, Chris Griffin. And allow me to quickly add, as a municipal councillor and as chair of the Southeast Grey Community Health Centre, which is rated as the #1 community health centre in all of Ontario, I also add my voice and my concern and my opposition to the closing of Grey Gables.
Hi. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I have 2 points I want to make. One is there's been talk about privatization versus public, and it was clear that there is a management partner that is going to be private. And I think that a $30 million that's put into these homes, that out of that money they can afford to pay a CEO or an administrator who knows what they're doing, pay a salary, and rather than having that extra money going into a private management partner's pockets, it should be going into the care. So that's the first thing. It is privatization. And my second point is that we're losing a school. I'm talking of losing a school in the area. We have Chapman's in this area, and Chapman's is a gold star manufacturer with regards to allergens. By closing the school, I know you have no control over the school, and now trying to close the long-term care facility here, what kind of message is that giving to a company that is key in this area, that has reinvested after their fire and saying, your workers are unimportant, you're not important, we're just going to close everything around you. We need things here in this community. Thank you.
Well said.
All right, we have our first question from the downstairs audience.
I have 2 questions. First of all, you speak of selling in Grey Gables. What about the municipal offices? We're going to have to build new municipal offices and find a new place for the nursery school and the OMAFRA offices? Secondly, I don't understand, you've got 2 PMAs, PMA1 and PMA2, and PMA2 is mainly Bruce County plus Owen Sound. We don't have Meaford in there, and yet you've got Meaford in other statistics when you're, purporting that we need to do this amalgamation. Like, what do we use?
Okay, I can address the last one because it's the most fresh in my memory. When we looked at the primary market areas, they were specifically identified based on where Grey County long-term care homes are. We did not look at the whole of Grey County. It was dealing with Lee Manor, Rockwood Terrace, and Grey Gables. So that's where that was addressed. The first question was about, I believe, or the first part of the question was about tenants. Okay. So this is a plan that we're working ahead on. We're not kicking tenants out. We're not doing that type of thing. The building has, I believe, 5 different tenants there. And with seniors in the building, there's still a benefit for childcare, day away. And, you know, we have leases with all our tenants, and that would be something that would be looked at down the road.
Hi, my name is Lucy Morton, and I am not from this area. Where I am from actually is Hamilton. What I'm here to say, I am so confused from everything I've heard, and it seems that to me that the stats seem to be skewed to support one way or another. That being said, what I am here is to let you know that I have been in the standing committee talking about these very issues. And I want you to know, if this goes to a private agency, private companies are not as responsible nor accountable as for not-for-profits. Make no bones about that. Secondly, I work in the healthcare system, and I have done for many years. And I am here to tell you, and I will stand against anyone who says otherwise, there is a 2-tiered system. If those dollars stay the same for those of us who may want to keep our loved ones in where they are now instead of to this new innovative place, part of their money will go to line the pockets, as Sister Karen said. It will line the pockets, and when it does, there's only 2 places to get that money from. And that is either off the back of the workers, or it's giving less care. And what has been proven in this province is they get less care. Hoskins says Bill 41 is about putting patients first. Well, it's time. Kudos to you to stand up and make sure that he actually does put patients first.